evening to our lovely viewers. Welcome to the platform. It's another Wednesday, another week, and another show to have here on the platform. My name is Mumbi, your usual Wednesday host. Of course, I wasn't there last week, and I had Comrade Pilato fill in for me, which was amazing. I saw the views were high. Maybe because it's Pilato, but it's fine. I appreciate all the interactions we have, and I'm glad that we're back again to have another interaction this Wednesday. We are coming from a very overwhelming discussion that we're just from watching on Diamond TV, which is amazing. And today's program is interesting because it will not be so far from what we saw today. Today's discussion, we are just going to be talking about the immediate past presidential debate, and we would just want to hear from you, the viewers. What is your opinion about the debate that we had today? Are we seeing a leader already? Are we convinced that Zambia has competent leaders that we can depend on this coming general elections? Of course, like many others, I am equally disappointed by the not showing up of the Republican president, and also very saddened about the not showing up of the Socialist Party president as well as the UPND president. I think it was going to be very important that we hear from them and have a conversation with them about the country's affairs. But you all know I always have very high interest about the appearance of the president on such discussions. The country has gone through so much in the past 5 years, and the PF is seeking another mandate, just like any other political party seeking their first mandate, apart from UNIP and the MMD. They're seeking another mandate and would want to know why we should give them another one. And we still wanted to hear more on why we should give the rest of the opposition parties a chance to actually lead Zambia. My name is Mumbi once again, and this is the platform. Today's conversation, we are talking about the presidential debates, and we want to hear your thoughts. I would want to first start. I don't know if I should give my opinion first, but anyway, we'll be following the usual rules in our interactions. We'll be posting the link in the comment section. You click on the link and join in the conversation, but don't forget the rules. Have an identifiable name and switch on your camera for you to be able to be added to the stream and give your contribution to today's discussion. I know there was a lot of information that we had to grasp, and we still have to share it here with everyone else, which is extremely amazing. I can see already a lot of people are joining in, and thank you everyone for joining in right now. And we'll go ahead with the program. I'm posting the link in the comment section just now. And if you feel ready to be the first person to give your review about the debate that we're from watching, of course, we can mix it with yesterday's debate. We can follow the sectors as they were divided, and then let's get to share what our thoughts are. I've posted the link in the comment section, so feel free to click on the link and be added to the stream. Remember the rules: switch on your camera and put an identifiable name in order for you to be added to the stream and successfully contribute. You are all welcome on the platform. So anyway, I'll probably start the conversation since a lot of people haven't yet started joining. But as I am waiting for you, I'll give my thought, and I'll start with yesterday's debate. Earlier this morning, we had a conversation with one of the comrades on Diamond TV, and we were given our opinions about yesterday's debate. And I did share that my expectations were not really met. I think we all know that the presidential election is a very important election, and if we're going to have somebody be the head of state, we must make sure that the person is well aware of what their position is and what their position involves. But I didn't see much of that yesterday. I was impressed, at least, by some of the candidates and how they managed to tackle the questions that were being sent to them by Costa. For example, I think I've been open about it, and I give a good thumbs up to the gentleman of the peanut party, and I think that was Mr. Harvey Hamdudu, and also I think the youngest presidential candidate that was there yesterday, that was Mr. Kasondo, who is the president of the EFF. Quite amazing. Not all the questions were answered, but not so much impressed. Some were a bit of disappointments. And at the end of the day, I feel they expose the type of leadership that we have exposed our country to. And to the greatest extent, right now, I think we have exposed our country to under average leadership, and it was very much represented yesterday by some candidates that appeared for the program. So the people that are on the stream right now, and I'm beginning to add them. So let us all prepare, and I'm starting with the first person that popped up, and that's Mr. Sitali. Adding him to the stream just now. Good evening, Mr. Stanley. How are you?
Good evening, madam. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Good to have you here as the first contributor. What is your thought on today's topic?
To say, madam, I didn't go through the debate because I was at work, knocked off very late. So I didn't follow it very closely to see what they were discussing, but I managed to capture what Mr. Hari Kalaba was saying. Yes. Plus, I noticed that some parties didn't manage to show up, like the Republican president. With me, I wanted very much the Republican president to show up because we've been going through a lot and we had a lot of questions for him, of which, if we had a moment to express ourselves, we had some questions for him, but we wanted to hear from him what he was going to say. So, my thought is, if a chance can be given to them, let them all show up. We have questions for the Republican president, especially.
Mr. Stanley, that is very well noted. I'm very much in the same position as you. But one thing I can't hide is that I definitely wasn't expecting the presidents to show up. Of course, it was one of my expectations that if he can just show up, but I was very convinced that he wasn't going to show up, even if I wanted to put it as an expectation. And I'm just as sad as you. But thank you very much for contributing. And let's see if you have any other thing that you would want to say that you haven't shared yet.
No, that's all, madam.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Study. You can excuse yourself from the stream.
Good night, madam. Thank you.
Okay, so I've added Mr. Nakweti on the live. Comrade Nakweti, are you able to hear me? Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, Comrade Nakweti.
Are you getting? Hello, I can get you, but I can't get you properly. I'm in a noise place.
I can get you now.
I can get you now.
You can get me, but I can't get you properly. I'm in a noise place. Let me just leave this place, and then I'll come back later.
Okay. So I'm adding Mr. Wiseman. Mr. Wiseman, you kindly need to switch on your camera in order for you to proceed with the discussion. If you don't, it will be difficult for me to allow you and maybe forced to remove you from the stream. But good evening.
Okay. Good evening, madam. I did this because of the environment where I am. I'm a standard follower of this platform. I'm always on with the camera when I'm in a conducive environment. But right now, as you know, we are in our campaign, and I'm not able to switch on my camera as usual, as per the stripes of the condition of this broadcast. But
Okay.
since I'm a student follower, I don't know if you're going to allow me to contribute or to wait until I switch on my camera.
I think for fairness of the game, I may have to wait for you to switch on your camera so that we avoid we avoid your permits to become an excuse for everyone.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me just reach home, then I'll join you, but I'll be following on the background.
Thank you so much. I'll be waiting for you, and I'll add you to the stream as soon as you join us. Okay, yeah. A few reactions there. We've just gotten a reaction from Mr. Study, whose biggest issue was to at least see the Republican president do show up today, which I highly say I was also very much hoping that he would show up. But the reality in me did convince me that the Republican president wasn't going to show up. We rarely see him show up anyway. So we'll let it be for now, but I must express that I feel on my end, it's a huge disappointment that the Republican president couldn't show up. I totally agree that a lot of people have been having a lot of questions that they would have wanted the president to answer, especially that the country is in the state where it is right now, where we're experiencing a lot of insufficient I don't know how I would put it, but we're having very low levels of following the rule of law. We're having high levels of and unallowed behavior by the political parties and their cadres. We are experiencing a very serious collapse in our economy, and currently even our GDP operates in the negative, which is quite bad. And for a person who's been running the economy for the past 5 years, we would have wanted to hear from him so far what's been happening and what we should be expecting in the next 5 years, should it turn out that he's given the mandate by the Zambian people. There's a gentleman I want to add here, but Mr. Remembering KK, before you speak, I would request that you give us another name. I don't think this is an identifiable name, sir. Good evening. Are you able to hear us? Okay. Hello there. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
We're all right here. And how are you, Mr. Pombo?
I'm okay, thank you so much. It's very hot. We are still in summer, so it's very hot. But otherwise, we thank God. We thank God because, especially insofar as the pandemic is concerned, we are really in good health at the moment. We are enjoying really the lowest levels of COVID situations, and so we thank God about that.
Great. We are having a very interesting conversation today. We have had presidential debates yesterday and today, and I want to hear your thoughts on what we have watched so far.
Yeah, thank you so much, my dear. I would say that I am fortunate enough because I have studied philosophy and I've studied some theology, and so I try also some psychology, of course. I try to understand some of the behaviors and attitudes of some individuals. You know, we thank God when there is a debate. I think it's always positive. It is positive. Whether it is the way it has been conducted, I personally, to say the truth, if anything was serious, the debate was supposed to be conducted by Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation, which is the state radio station, radio and TV station. So just the fact that Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation is not covering such type or has not come out with such an idea, well, explains a lot. from the psychological point of view. Now we have also seen the candidates. Some of them, they are just, I think they are just like, normal people anyway, nothing special. And I wouldn't hide. They don't have presidential qualities. They don't have. But today I listened to Hari Kalava, for example. He's a very good person, has very positive perspectives. I also admire also that bishop. I think is it from UNIP.
That was for yesterday.
Yes, the one for yesterday.
Yes, that's Mr. Trevor Mwamba, the president of the UNIP party.
United Party. Yes. We are talking of people with quality to serve the nation. I suppose it is fundamental for us to do an introspection and see if we can serve, not as if we can have an opportunity or we can gain from being candidates. Well, that said, I was not surprised that our president Edgar Chagwalungu was not going to be present. I was not surprised myself.
Yeah.
Listen, my dear presenter, our marvelous presenter. Our president has people everywhere. He has he knows the information from day one. When they publicize this interview or this debate, I think some days has passed, and just today, after Hakainde Hichilema excused himself with a genuine excuse, that guy has been blocked. He cannot fly.
Everyone knows.
And when he's driving, it's a lot of problems. Genuine excuse. Now here comes our president who says, I was never invited. When I studied some psychology, there is a very important topic of psychology, which is said transaction analysis. That is the title, transaction analysis, which studies the ego state of each and everyone, the ego state. So me, Oscar, I have 3 ego states. Oscar, a baby. Oscar, a parent. Oscar, an adult person. Oscar, a baby, is the one who would like to say, no, I can't, please. I can't afford transport. I am hungry. I feel dizzy. That's Oscar, a baby. Oscar, a parent, is to say, you are supposed to go for this debate, whether you like it or not. Now, Oscar, an adult, is the one who makes an introspection and say, I think I cannot manage. I am sorry. Or I am coming because I'm determined to do it. Now, right. Sorry about this exaggeration of mine, but I wanted to say the excuses. They have given us excuses, especially our president. I respect him very much. He is still the Zambian president, and I respect him very much. But giving the state such an excuse, it hurts me. Because I would like to be treated like an adult. I don't want to be treated as a baby. No, I was not invited. No, come on. You have all the intelligence. Please. So, the idea is fantastic, my dear. The idea is fantastic. But Zambia National Broadcasting Services Corporation, they are not publicizing such type of a program. It's a lot. It is very sad for our nation.
I totally agree with your position, but before I let you go, I want to ask you, from the debates that we've had
Yes,
so
please.
far, I want to hear from you. Who stood out, and on the sectors that were discussed, which one do you feel was best answered by the candidates?
I think Harry Kalava is quite a good candidate as well. When people are talking about, yeah, when people are talking about something close to the truth, I think I can thank. It's quite an obligation to say thank you. But I hate people who cheats. When they are cheating the people, especially cheating the adults, it's offensive. It's
Yeah.
offensive. Yeah. And that I don't tolerate. People who say lies, I personally, that's my personal conviction. I do not tolerate it at all.
Okay. And the last one, what do you feel should
And
be the
my dear,
solution that
yes,
will allow us to see all the
sorry,
candidates in the coming elections?
sorry, can you repeat that a bit? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm asking, what do you feel is the solution to ensuring that we are able to see all candidates in the coming debates that we'll ever have in the next general elections that we should be having as a country?
I think, my dear, if there is a will, a great will from each and every candidate, these people, they have mobile phones, they have numbers. We are in an era of technology and social network. So I think we need just a fraction of a second to communicate to all the 16 candidates. I don't know whether it's the 16 or 17 candidates. It is very simple. So if they have a will, it's very simple.
There'll be a way.
But I doubt if there is a will, my dear.
Mr. Oscar,
Especially that after the experience of Hakainde Chilema in Chipata, I've discovered a gentleman. I've discovered a gentleman. That guy, he's a gentleman. And I thank God. I hope, it's my prayer, I hope this person can be given to Zambia as a leader of the nation. The country will benefit. He's a very
Mr.
courageous
Oscar, make sure you are in the country next week, Thursday, so that you vote for the person that you feel is the leader for this country. Otherwise,
I am
thank you.
coming.
Thank you. Have a good night. Okay, and the the youth that I had the last time I was on this show, Mr. Mumbaka Sunday. I'm glad to have you. Good evening, sir.
Evening, thank you, Mumbi. And how are you?
I'm all right. Interesting conversation today. I'm glad that you are here because I also have a question in store for you if you watch the full presidential debate. But first things first, give me your thought about yesterday's debate as well as today's debate. What is your general perspective?
Okay, I have to be frank with you that I missed yesterday's debate, but I had because I was working, but I had the privilege of following today's debate, and from what I've seen, I want to agree with the previous gentleman that Hari Kalawa did quite well today from what he explained and narrated, and I think you can see that there are qualities of a good leader in him. Yeah, and some other leaders that I can point to. Maybe also Nevas Mumba also came out quite well. I think I saw some qualities. Though I feel for Nevas Mumba is still trying to bring in the nation the notion of the previous MMD, which might make him not win the elections. Because he was still citing what happened because he was saying, no, we've ruled Zambia for 20 years and we saw Stephen Urenda coming from the backside and trying to attack, to say you are the ones that brought this country down, you know, and so those are the things that I noted. But Hari Kalaba did quite well tonight, and I need to confess that.
Okay, amazing. I'm glad you've already picked someone who you feel was outstanding among the tonight's candidate. But from a perspective of you as a young person, are you convinced with what we're seeing today that Zambia definitely has leadership that can take you as a young person to the next phase that you feel the country should be at?
Yes, I do believe that we have that kind of leadership. You know, one thing that we are facing as a nation is leadership crisis. I should mention that. I think there was one point that was mentioned. I think they were talking about the rule of law, okay, whereby you have one individual with all the powers. For example, you have the three arms of government: the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. Now, what we've seen in the PF government, especially with Edgar Lungu, we've seen him having more powers than all these, because there must be that separation of powers. The judiciary hasn't been free. The legislature hasn't been free. So you find out to say that he's been trying to be here and there, and with that, it's very difficult for us to move forward. And from those contenders in today's debate, we could see people who were able to bring out the points to say that the executive must be independent from these other two arms of government. I think that's very important. And so, because if the president has a lot of powers, one of the candidates actually cited the constitution to be a weakness of the patriotic government, because it's like it gives the president a lot of power, such that the president has to appoint the chairman for election or for electoral commission of Zambia. He has to appoint for example, the governor. He has to appoint the chief justice. All those things. With all those laws and rules in place, it's very difficult for a country to be truly democratic, because you find out that the president is there and there, and all those people who are chosen will try and favor the president because they're afraid. So from those participants, you could see that, for example, Hari Kalaba, from the way he was articulating issues and the way he was bringing out points, you could see that it can move the country forward, and we can have something to talk about as Zambians in the next 10 years or the next 5 years.
I see Mr. Hari Kalaba has bought your hat. Are you voting for him next week?
No, though they say that your vote is your secret, still trying to look at who I can go for. Yeah,
so you're
but
you can give him the vote.
Huh?
Because you're still looking. You're still not convinced that you can give him the vote.
yeah. Until the 11th. I think I'll make my decision on the 11th. Okay. Then I need also to mention that I was disappointed with Edgar Lungu for not showing up to that debate. I think it was so disappointing, because we've seen in 2015 there was a debate, there was a presidential debate. He missed that one. In 2016 again, he missed the presidential debate. This time again. So it shows what kind of a person he is and what kind of an individual. Though is tempted to be a humble leader, and one would want and be surprised and shocked to say what kind of a humble leader he is when he's missing all this, because he was supposed to be there and try and explain, because they're everywhere. I think you've seen the PF are everywhere trying to advertise. They've gone to Google, on all the apps. We're just seeing ads about the Patriotic Front. So instead of them coming out and telling us, they would rather use adverts, okay, which is not a very good thing, because they have done whatever they have done. Those works should be there to speak for themselves, or to speak for them. But what we are seeing is that they are everywhere trying to advertise. But the works, we've all seen what they were able to deliver. And I need to mention that they failed that particular point.
Before you go, just one question. I feel like there was one thing that all the candidates failed to explain tonight among the questions. I know that there are some of the questions that they couldn't manage, but there is one that I feel everyone else failed to give a proper answer to. And I hope you help me, because you are a young person. A question that had to do with children and how we get to protect them and how we get to create an environment for them. Do you have a perspective that you feel you would pick out and say, I think this was a more workable solutions for me? Because I really have noticed that we do neglect the conversation of the child in almost all the conversations. Yet, the children that we were having, the people who are children some 5 years ago, today are adults, and they're being used for political violence. And these are youth people who are being used for many other dirty works by politicians.
Yeah, talking about that, I saw that most candidates were trying to move around that question. But there was one who tried to answer it. There was someone who talked about empowering communities. Someone talked about empowering. I've forgotten who that really was. Someone talked about empowering communities, to say if you empower the community, then you empower the children. But most people were actually failed to answer that question. Some of them were going to agriculture and talking about other things. But yeah, I feel like leaders of nowadays, actually, they neglect the children a lot, because I think we forget, if we are to develop the future Zambia, it starts with the child. I think that's where each and every leader must concentrate on. We have to talk about things like education. For example, we have at the moment we're complaining about cadarism. Okay, if you empower the children and you give them the right education, I don't think 10 years or 15 years or 40 years from now we're going to see a lot of cadres, because a lot of people are going to be educated. But all those points, I think we are missing from that particular one. Then also issues of child online protection. Nobody even talked about that. Now that there's social media, there's need, because children have now do have access to gadgets, and also issues of posting anyhow. Anyone can get a video of a child and post it online. In that regard, children are not protected. So I felt all those issues were left out. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Mumba, thank you very much for joining. I have a bit of a less load on my waiting list, so I'll just tell you to mute the mic, but don't leave the broadcast, because I still want us to have a conversation. Just mute the mic for now. Mr. Wiseman, good to have you back. I'm glad you have done what is right. How are you?
And how are you once again?
Thank you so much. All right. We are talking about the presidential debates, and we want to hear your thoughts. Please give us your general overview before I ask you another question, because if my mind serves me, if my eyes are serving me right, you are a young person, right?
Yeah. A young person looking old because of problems of this country.
Okay, so what do you think about the debates that we've had so far? What's your general overview about the performance of the candidates?
Yeah, first of all, I think thank you very much for the guidance from the beginning when I joined this program. As you can see, I've now decided even to jump in someone's house just for me to participate on this beloved channel. Thank you very much for your platform. I think to start with the presidential debate, I'll start with my own opinions of the whole presidential debate. I think in Zambia, I've got time wasters. I think we need to be serious when it comes to national issues. What we saw yesterday, I think on that debate, I was very disappointed as a young one who is trying to pursue politics and who was trying to understand what it means to be a politician. When you saw yesterday's debate, most of the candidates who were debating on yesterday's debate, they were debating about the person who was not even there. So then I stand to ask my question: why are these people debating in the Hlema? Is it the problem which Zambia are facing? So already from there, we're able to see that of Zambians are facing, and most of the time they were all rushing to their manifesto. There is no need of them telling us about their manifesto now, because we have got the problems which we are facing now. Is we have got the reality of problems. So if someone will bring me a book, which you like what is going to bring for me, meanwhile I've got the reality of problems on the ground, then we are going to miss each other on what we are trying to discuss. So for me, yesterday's debate, it was a disappointing part of it, and I urge those so-called leaders to pull out their socks and deal with the legal issues to convince the Zambian people to vote for them. It's not about you just showing up on your ballot, but it's about you providing leadership mind and try to convince the Zambian people to make sure they can give you a vote. Today's debate, I understand that in the Chilema because he apologized on that and he said because of the airspace which has been banned to fly, he could have managed to go and participate, which is I think it's a genuine excuse. We all saw that. I was very disappointed with our president. It was for him, he has got all what it takes for him to go back to Lusaka and attend. If you have seen our friends in America, they debate, that's where they get the information, that's where they get the ideas of how their presidential candidate they are going to do when they enter sector. It's like a signing agreement to say, I'm going to do this, and for us, we put a signature. If you fail, we ask you a question to say, you promised us this, but you never did it. Otherwise, Ali Kalawa, for me today, was on point. I think I see Ali Kalawa to be one of the biggest opposition in near future. I think he has got that leadership mind, which we are seeing from other leaders, which we are pursuing. For me, I won't hide. I've already make up my decision, and I've already decided who is convincing me to vote for. So I think the debate is okay. For today's, it was okay because I picked one leader who is Ali Kalawa, who was trying to convince me to vote for him, although I've already made up the mind where my vote will go.
Mr. Wiseman, thank you very much for your general overview. But one question, I'm glad that you watched yesterday's debate and you've also watched today's debate. A key issue that affects most of the young people. We have the issue of law and order. We are talking about cadres and the misbehaving of many other young people that have been picked by political parties and are now becoming a source of confusion in this country to the extent that even the police have failed to handle them. And now we have the military in place in order to control them, which, if you ask me, is a sign of neglect for the past 5 years that we reach an extent why we can't control individuals that are members of our society. Seeing that young people are the biggest victims of this act, and with the questions of law and order that were asked as far as of yesterday and today, who do you feel stood out as to answering that question? If no one stood out, what do you feel should be the solution that these leaders should be hearing from you, a fellow young person, about the idea about putting law and order in the country?
Thank you very much. I think to start with, no one impressed me on that question. The answer is very simple. I was expecting those leaders, first of all, to question our president and to question our authority, why Inspector General Kakuma Kanganja is still in the office. Meanwhile, we were told that was just given 6 months. So for me, that was a very big platform which our leaders were supposed to express themselves to ask, to say, who is our IG? What has happened? Have you increased his tenure of office, or why is he there? That was the beginning, but no one tried to speak on our behalf. When it comes to questioning how they are going to conduct law and order in this country, I think, as usual, Ali Karawa tried a bit, but he never reached the point. I was looking forward to a leader who's going to allow a negative sentiment coming from Wiseman and try to scrutinize it to get some point of it, than anyone who tried to speak out. It will be sent with the police, will be harassed. And I was looking forward to see where a leader will say we're going to give police more power. Those powers, they have to come from somewhere else. If you say between you and my comrade there, you have got 50-50. When you are promising me to say one of you is going to have more power, that means my comrade is going to lose a certain percentage, which will come to you. But those leaders were just saying they are going to give powers to the police, but no one was telling us where that power is going to come from. If they could have said, I'm going to release some of my powers and I'm going to give to the police. I'm going to relieve. No one says that, which means they are enjoying this tendency of president having more powers to control and to appoint whoever in that authority. So for me, on that point, they failed us, and we need leaders who can answer. Hopefully, in the HDM and President Lungu, they can have a two months debate, since they missed on this debate, to try to hear on what they are planning to do for this country.
Oh, we are all hoping if they could have that, but I know that the bigger part of our hope is to hope to see the president actually show up. Mr. Wiseman, thank you very much for the conversation that we've had, and I really, really appreciate your contribution to this program.
Thank you very much, and I'm appreciating you people for providing this platform for us as young people. I think I've been inspired by you guys, and you are the people who have made me to be the youth advocate here in Kawe. Make sure that I stand for my country and I speak for the voiceless. Thank you. I salute.
Please continue doing so. Thank you so much. Okay. Mr. Mumba, please unmute your mic. I was just from asking a very important question to Mr. Wiseman here, which concerns the young people and the high levels of violence. And seeing that young people are the ones who are put in the forefront of these discussions, who do you feel answered the question of law and order properly, better than the rest? And if no one, what do you think should be the way forward as far as putting control to the type of misbehavior that we are experiencing as a country, and it's being spearheaded by young people, put by certain individuals?
Yes, I feel that the person who answered that question nicely was Nevas Mumba. When we talk about order, for example, we have these cadres, we have UPND cadres and the PF cadres are the ones that are making noise at the moment. There's one point that Nevas Mumba raised about controlling, as a presidential candidate, you should be able to control your supporters and your cadres. If a presidential candidate cannot control his or her supporters, the question then comes, will this person be able to control the nation? Okay, so now at this particular point where we are, for example, we have seen the killings that took place in Kanyama, where involving the UPND and the PF cadres. I think the appeal goes to both Edgar Lungu and the HH, because right now we can't manage, or we can't accept to start playing a blame game whereby we start saying, no, it is the UPND, no, it is the PF. I don't think that is going to help our peace in the nation. I think both the two individuals should stand up and tell their cadres to stop whatever they are doing. Then we have, for example, the same incident which happened in Kanyama, where the UPND were saying, no, it was our supporter who was killed, and the PF was also saying, no, the two people who died were our supporters. I feel we don't even have to have that debate. If these two people mean well for this country, they should be able to tell their supporters to stop the violence. It's simple as that. And for me, it shows that these two individuals are somehow selfish. For me, I feel like these two individuals are somehow selfish. They put the interests of their parties above the interest of every Zambian. Because if they care enough for this country, they should allow peace to reign in this country. We can't be losing lives over simple elections. I think a life of someone is very, very important than even someone becoming a president, for me.
Okay, the last one, and then I let you go. Still in law and order, we have an issue of human rights in this country, and in the past years, I think we've experienced some of the highest levels. As far as my experience and living as a human being, I was never rude in the Kaunda time. So, so as far as where we are now, I think in the past 5 years, we've experienced the highest level of I don't know if I can call it tyranny, but we've seen a lot of attacks against human rights defenders, but also the human rights itself. We have seen a case where the human rights are being less respected by the people in power, and not only the people that we can call as the government itself, but also political parties are becoming the highest perpetrators themselves of coming against the human rights. What is the way forward? I know that there's only one person that talked about human rights, and I think that was Harry Kalaba. But I feel it's an important issue because we are a democratic country, and human rights becomes a very big part of democracy because it guarantees the terms of an individual. What should be the way forward of human rights? Did anyone satisfy you? If not, what should be the way forward with ensuring that our human rights are respected by all individuals?
I think the most cardinal and important point is following the constitution. Yeah, I think maybe let me just I can only refer to what I've observed with the PF government for now in terms of where human rights are concerned. I think if you remember nicely, we had artists some time back. Was it last year when they went to go and protest from the bush? That tells a lot of story, because it means that we are in a democratic nation where our mouths are shut. We are not allowed to speak. We are not allowed to enjoy our rights or these rights freely. So going forward, I think the best, because we have the Bill of Rights embedded in the Constitution, okay, and so any meaningful president or any meaningful leader that the Zambian people choose to be their president, that person should be able to ensure that those rights are followed. All those fundamental rights are supposed to be followed. Then we also have the Human Rights Commission, which I feel is not doing enough for me on my part. I need to say this. I feel it's not doing enough. I think they should be able to come out and condemn. Then we have also a lot of organizations that have been formed that claim to be supporting human rights. But then once these organizations are paid or bribed, they change and start supporting the government in power. And that makes it hard for the government in power to follow these rights, because the same organizations which are supposed to be actually advocating for human rights are supporting them. So we've seen all these things happening in the PF government. But what is very important is if we can have a president that can follow the constitution, then that could be the only way forward. Now, the only thing is that it's very difficult to determine, because as people speak, you might not really know what they're going to do. The actions can be different from what they're saying. So we might choose to say, okay, this person can do better. Once they go into a state house, they change their mind. But what is important is to have the rights of people being followed.
Mr. Kasonde, thank you very much for joining us tonight and having this conversation with us. I appreciate your contribution, and we hope to see you again next week. Continue joining us through the comment section, and feel free to come back should you have another thought as we continue discussing. You have a good night.
All right. Thank you, and same Mumbi.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Henry K. Thank you very much for joining us this evening on the platform. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And you?
I'm all right. We are having a very interesting conversation today, and we are talking about the presidential debates that we've had for the past 2 days. If you have watched them, I would love to hear from you. What is your general overview about our candidates and the debates that they have been having the past 2 days?
Well, in my own analysis, I actually didn't watch the other one, but I've been watching this one today, this evening. I followed most of them, but the only problem I'm seeing is they are not actually in the same line, and they are not actually talking like the English people say. They are not singing on the same hymn sheet. So if you look at the way the country is and what we are going through, it is pathetic. You know, okay, Kalava is wise, and whatever he said, I think I agree with him, because he was hitting the main issues that are on the ground, where people, he's seen how people are suffering. He's seen how things are going on in the country. And given a chance, he may control some of the things, but it is impossible for one person to really control the entire situation in Zambia. I give you an example. If you go to America, I think we've got more than 40 presidents there. This one will come in with an idea of how he thinks he can help the economy and the everything, actually, the health sector, the education part of it, and everything. And then, at least the politicians there they know exactly what they're supposed to do. Whenever they promise the people that I will do this, they will definitely do that. But they will not do everything. I mean, like they finish all the problems. But the more you have leaders with an idea of how they should run the economy, it really helps, because this one will bring in an idea of a certain thing, and then another one will add, okay, let us come back to Zambia. Previously, during the UNIP regime, we had a very, very big problem of communication and transport. And I'm sure you agree with me. For me to remember correctly, if you wanted to make a call, you had to have coins in your pocket, and then you go to that thing which was all over the streets. That phone, I don't know what you call it. I've even forgotten about it. Yeah. So Chiluba thought it wise. He said, "No, this is not right." And we are queuing for buses. The UBZ. Then, if you miss that bus, I'm sure for you to catch another one to take you a long time. And private vehicles were not actually available, only few. If you find a truck, it's almost to be thrown in the junkyard. But anyway, what I'm trying to emphasize here is, if we have leaders, for example, like Chiluba did, he brought in transport, communication was easy. That we really appreciated so much. So if we bring in another person who also can think of to add on what the other person has done, it will really help us quite a lot. Yeah. Mwanawasa came in. What Chiluba did was good, but he just added on to what Chiluba did. And people were really, really appreciative of what Mwanawasa did. In fact, I was on the copper belt. Then they said, if Mwanawasa finishes his term, we are going to force him to go into a third term. But he refused, you see. Because when they see somebody who's doing something right, people power, we can all rise and say, no, we still want this person to go through again, because what he's done, nobody has done it. So if we give him another mandate, obviously he's going to do something better for us. Now, looking at the debates that we've had this evening, I don't think we should even think of eyeing for such people who are not even talking the sensible things. They're just, it's like, I don't know even why this debate was there, because I haven't seen anything tangible coming out from that. If you look at the comments people were posting, it's pathetic. I felt, what are these the leaders we are looking for? You see, it was going to be very interesting if we had the biggest parties like the PF with the President Lungu and Hakainde Hichilema of the UPND. I'm sure we would have seen something hitting that debate. But to me, it was just like one of those other things that they always speak on any other platform given. So it didn't give me any impact at all. Yeah, as I just say, maybe President Kalava, yes, he was talking sense, but these others, not to my liking.
Still thinking about it.
Yeah, very much, very much. So it was just actually shameful that we didn't actually see President Lungu and Haka in the Hichilema. I'm sure that would have spiced the whole thing. So,
Mr. Henry, I really thank you for the contribution you've given us tonight, the brief history that you've given us, and the guidance you've provided, especially on building what the other president already left. And I hope the candidates are watching to pick the people's opinions about how the debate was today.
okay. Yeah, but just one more thing before you sign out. The tension that is in the country right now, I feel it is uncalled for. You see, and if we continue doing this, the entire world is laughing at us. They are looking at us. What is going on in Zambia? Because Zambia is an icon of peace, whereby everybody, whenever a person comes into Zambia, they'll say, "Oh, Zambia is a peaceful country, and the people are so, accommodative," you know. But looking at what is going on right now, I feel it is absolutely not a Zambian. It isn't Zambian at all. You see. So if we continue, and I'm pretty sure these few days coming, we are going to see a lot of drama. And I hope nothing really happens which will really make everything go upside down in the country. That one, we don't want it. But looking at the pace that we are going, I wish the army and would think, okay, the people are speaking. What measures are we going to put in so that these elections would really go in a fair way, not whereby siding with the ruling party or something like that. It is really not good at all. It is tarnishing the country, and I mean the country is already tarnished because people are looking at us as nothing. I even saw a clip on CNN today. They were talking about Zambia. They said, Zambia is. You saw it, isn't it?
Yes. Quite a disappointing clip.
You see,
I
and
don't
now,
know how I to mention it, but it's very disappointing clip about our country.
and you know, CNN, Al Jazeera, BBC, and these other media houses, they are looking at Zambia now to be very interesting. There's something interesting. That's how they behave. You see, when there's something which is really so much interested, they'll come in. I can tell you before the elections and after a few days after the election, BBC will be there, Sky News will be there talking about Zambia. So we have actually disappointed the entire world of the peace that we are really enjoying. So I feel it is really not good at all.
Mr. Henry, I really appreciate you coming through for this discussion. I hope to see you again next week. And because we're in the last minutes, I'll allow the last gentleman, Mr. Mwansa, to speak, and then we can engage in the comment section.
Well, thank you for having me, and I really appreciate it so much.
You're welcome. And the last man speaking for tonight in the last minute. Good evening, boys. I'm all right for you, but I think your mic is very serious noise we unfortunately I can't. Sorry? Mr. Mwansa, okay, we're getting a very bad feedback from Mr. Mwasa, we'll try and add him in the last seconds, and then let's see if we'll get to have better sound. I don't know if you get this right, but you are having very background, and I nothing at all. All I can do is I'll allow you in the comment section.
I'll simply comment. So the madam.
Okay, so we now have to be coming to the end of the program. We want to thank everybody that managed to join in tonight and give a contribution to today's discussion. And we value your time that you spared to be joining us through this program and giving your contributions, as well as just being there as our viewers. We really appreciate the support. Please remember that the platform is brought to you by PAGS with support from OSISA. And I have been your host for today. My name is Mumbi, and see you next week sometime, same place. Have a good day. And also remember to please vote next week. We are voting next week on Thursday. So please remember to put your NRC in check, put your voter's card in check, and put your nails in check, because next week Thursday we will be having our general elections. And make sure to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell the grandma and the mother and the auntie, the uncle, the nieces and nephews that we're voting next week, and we all have to turn up and give our voices through the ballot. For today, it's good night and God bless.